listening to Superpower Creatives on the Superpower Up podcast. The show that sparks the superpowers of musicians and artists to ignite change.
All the little men, will they get the chance to come back?
Hello, this is David Delmar, your host of Superpower Creatives, and you're listening to our episode, Music, a Success Formula for Life. I believe everyone is a creator, and it's this inherent birthright that's the source of our superpowers. Stepping into this personal authority is scary, though. This show celebrates creatives that stay true to who they really are, making a living using their creative superpowers. The stories they share will excite and inspire listeners to do the same, making positive change in the world. I'm so excited to welcome our guest for today's show. He's a true person of character expressed musically that carries right through into his life. A creative who looks at the proverbial box and knows there is no way he could ever allow himself to stay stuck in such a place in his music or his life. John Vento is often called a chameleon in the Pittsburgh music scene. And while his critics may use the term as a pejorative, it's a compliment to him because he understands that they're just frustrated. You know, they're motivated by that sense of, you know, wanting to know definitives, but the inability to lock him into a specific music style is just kind of like how he rolls, and they just have to kind of roll with it because they don't have any choice, you know. So, after all, he's been the frontman of the high-energy, hard-rocking bands like the Businessmen and the Needs Hotel Band, and is known for his introspective, brooding solo recordings, which, you know what, is pretty fascinating, I think. So, you know, but here's the thing, rather than a drawback, you know, Vento considers such diversity to be among his strengths, and his fans agree. They relish sharing his tumultuous trek toward achieving his artistic vision, which he accomplishes by channeling a blend of eclectic influences through his own raw emotions, which I dig as a fellow musician. That's the stuff. Helping to engineer the roller coaster ride is a stout core of collaborators, including John Randall Fox, Buddy Hall, Tim Hadley, and Frank Ferraro, along with renowned playwright and lyricist Amy Hartman. Many members of this crew have been with him for more than a decade. I mean, it's pretty easy to understand why. I mean, you know, as he would consistently showers them with appreciation and accolades because, you know, those are well-earned. And he's one that likes to recognize a job well done. You know, he himself, a one-of-a-kind performer, he professes a great distaste, though, for the word solo. You know, insisting that, you know, without my collaborators, his thought is I would not have accomplished anything. It's no surprise to those who know him, as he truly is a humble, loving, and grateful person who treasures his family and his friends. Certainly that comes across loud and clear in his honest, from-the-heart songs. And that undoubtedly is another quality which endears him to his fans. And as he puts it, if just one person is touched in some small way by one of my songs, that's the greatest reward that I could receive. So, of course, it's purely logical that Vento would find a great following in the town. His steely resistance to categorization is the very essence and backbone of Pittsburgh. Built by a veritable melting pot of blue-collar workers, the once gritty city has risen from the slag heap through the smoke and haze to become a sparkling, spectacular hub of culture and learning. Yet it remains true, and we say that on the show all the time. Thank you for remaining true. It remains true to its deeply forged identity. John's 2019 MTS release is Love, Lust, and Other Wreckage. The single, Rainbows and Lightning, reached the top 20 of iTunes Canada charts, receiving national and international airplay and charting. He is a January 2019 Billboard Magazine Emerging Artist, folks. John, absolutely terrific stuff and a mindset near and dear to my heart. Thank you so much for being here today.
Well, thanks so much for having me. I appreciate your patience in navigating me through the technological connections that we just created. Thank you, my friend.
You are very, very welcome. It is just my pleasure, no problem whatsoever. I thought you did just fine. No question about that. Well, I want to I want to just thank you for being here, and also for the powerful decision to stay true to your non-categorization in your music, which helps others, I feel, including myself, to be strong with that same conviction.
Well,
I love
thank
that.
you.
Very welcome.
Thank you so much.
Very, very welcome. Well, today we're talking about our show. Yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to say that a very dear friend of mine that is a great artist, he had a line in a song years ago, and he said, the line was, "I watch the river run because it knows which way to go."
Mm.
And, just basically, the old saying, going with the flow, is another way of saying the same thing, and letting your art or your spirit go where it wants to be in a natural way.
Yeah, I love that. I mean, I feel like that is the true essence and calling of life that is available for everyone, but certainly not everyone listens to that, and there's a lot of strife, and life just gets a lot more difficult than it absolutely needs to be, and that's a beautiful line right there. I'm going to definitely remember that. Well, we're talking about our show today, Music, a Success Formula for Life, and that what you just shared falls right in suit with that, and in particular, how John finds creativity increases his music's viability for himself, then extending that to his fan base, and how his experiences as a described chameleon has benefited his music and also his life. So, John, how we always start the show is with the same question for everybody, and it's this: what is your creative superpower?
Wow, that's a great big question.
Indeed. So we put it out first.
Yeah. Then it gets easier from here.
That's right.
First of all, I think my superpower is the ability to collaborate with other talented and passionate people and create a combined vision where we're all focused on the same thing. That's probably what I'm most proud of, in not only in music but in life. I'm so blessed to be surrounded with sincere and honest and talented people that are willing to invest in a vision that I might have, whatever that vision may be. In this case, we're talking about music and this new project, Love, Lust, and Other Wreckage. It was really quite an effort to pull together such a diverse, talented group of people and create the product that we did.
Well, and I mean, I think that is a superpower that is such an important one to have in today's world, because that collaboration, that finding the togetherness and having it be about we instead of the me, is such an important leadership quality, so vital today. And I'm just really happy to hear that that's what you shared for your superpower, because you channel that into music like you're doing with this amazing cast of other talented people you're working with, and that's the kind of stuff that reshapes how we experience life, because that music has that kind of power. What have you found in the collaboration process with that amazing group of talented artists you shared? What has been one of the single value moments or experiences you've had with this latest project, John?
I think a couple things. First, it's forced me to be more open-minded and look at a different perspective. Or should I say at least consider a different perspective? Because as a leader, especially of a project of this magnitude, it's tough to make everybody happy. It really is. However, at the same time, when you are surrounded by talented people who share the vision and who have the right ethics, and they want to contribute with ideas and input, you've got to at least consider it and play it out. And that was the whole process. This project took over 2 years, and there was a lot of trial and error, a lot of fine tuning, a lot of molding. Ideas were thrown in that might have seemed crazy, but we tried them anyhow. Some of them stuck, some of them didn't. And I think this album in particular really opened my eyes to being more pliable, if you will, and considerate of input from others.
That's awesome. I mean, that's like going against the grain of the proverbial current of the way the world is trying to mold itself into, and that's some serious headwind, but nonetheless, obvious strength that you found in that.
I think so, yes.
Yeah, I mean, I just can imagine that had to have been a very deep journey into to some true surrender and really just allowing the creative process to do what it brought everybody together to do. So it's really powerful. Well, it's such amazing stuff. We're gonna take a quick break, and I want to stay together here with this, and I want to find out a little bit more about what went into this latest album. What were one of the things that you tried that worked out? Maybe something that didn't work out when we get back from the break. But before we do jump into a break, let's tell people where they can go to find out more about you.
Okay, sure. Well, I've got a website, Vento.com, and that's JOHNVENTO, JohnVento.com. I've got Facebook, John Vento Music, Instagram, John Vento Music, and I guess I do Twitter. I have people that help me because I'm not quite as well versed, so I'm out there in the world of social media. I do the website, of course, is the hub of people can download music and listen to stuff I've done and see videos and so on and so forth.
Awesome stuff. All right. So, we've been talking with John Vento today about our episode, Music, a Success Formula for Life. We're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, we're going to continue with John and absorb what it is he's sharing here and how what he shares is something that you might be able to apply into your life today.
Are you here to change the world? Do you talk about things like vibration, frequency, awakening, and consciousness? Are you pretty sure you have superpowers? The Superpower Net is unlike normal coaching programs and conscious communities. We provide training, intuitive guidance, peer-to-peer learning, intensive one-on-one coaching, and a high vibrational network of people just like you. When you join the net, you get 24/7 access to a collaborative group of people who support you as you master your personal power and unlock your superpowers. If you're ready to use your superpowers to change the world, then join the Superpower Net today. Visit superpowerexperts.com/the-net to learn more.
We're back. You're listening to Superpower Creatives. And today we're talking with John Vento on our episode, Music, a Success Formula for Life. So John, I'd love to jump back in where we left off before the break, and I'm going to ask you this question. When you all got together in the room for the first time to start the project 2 years ago, what was that first day like? What was the energy like? What can you share to kind of describe what that experience was like for you and maybe for the collective?
Well, I got to tell you, we got off to a really slow start. At the time, I had experienced some very serious health issues, which led to some contemplative approaches to things. And I'd love to tell you that we had this great vision and plan and a direction and objectives and so on, but we really didn't. We started with a song, and the first song that we recorded was Baby Blues, which was a song all about regret and certain struggles. It was very personal. But I would say that within the first month to 6 weeks of the initial team, which was myself, co-writer Bert Laubel, and producer and multi-instrumentalist David Granati, within 4 to 6 weeks, we knew we were on to something where the vision started to come together. And there was a plan and a direction in making this project thematic and focusing on relationships, and hence the title, Love, Lust, and Other Wreckage. So I would say the excitement started to build, and it really never waned. After we knew we were onto something special, there was some great creative energy in the studio, consistently, day after day.
Well, that makes it certainly an enjoyable thing to show up to work every day. I mean, being able to just know you're going to jump right back into that synergy and sort of find that magic that's already percolating. Let me ask you this, John. Why do you do what you do with your superpowers?
I think a lot of it's, as an artist, is very selfish.
It is.
We want to create, and it's selfish in the sense that you want to accomplish something and you want to get your voice to be heard. That's one extreme element of this. Then the other extreme element is the wonderful relationships that are created through music, friendships that have lasted years and years. And I don't mean just friendships with other musicians and collaborators. I mean friendships with people that you've come across that maybe you've enjoyed the music, or you've met them at a show or an event, and there's a special connection. So it's funny that how, something in with in a very possessive, selfish way kind of opens your heart into connecting with so many other people.
Yeah, I'm taking a moment to think about that because I really love the way you put that. Yes, you're welcome. There's something. It's something very just poetic, and the thought about how that duality can create something so unifying. Yeah, I love that.
That's the duality.
Good. Yeah,
that's a good word to use. It really is. I mean, I don't know a single artist that isn't extremely selfish about their work. Even though I've collaborated and love to collaborate, and honestly have to collaborate. I'm not a guy that stands up there like a Dylan Wood or a Springsteen strumming their guitar and singing their songs. That's not what I do.
Yeah.
The collaboration is a necessity, but I absolutely embrace it and love it because it helps me grow. At the same time, and don't take this the wrong way, it's my baby. My name's on it.
Yeah.
So I'm the guy that is going to make those final decisions, and I have to balance the collaborators and the personalities to move forward. And by the way, sometimes there's friction, as I'm sure you can imagine. But hopefully that friction creates great work.
Yeah, it's almost like you have to, you sort of have to get in the round, that sort of rub, that friction. It's almost like a catalyst in its own right. It just it produces that precious spark of creativity that
exactly.
You walk to it and through it, and if you avoid it, then you're not going to get the work that is ultimately meant to be. The shared collective, everybody is there in that room to do. When you perform your music, what's it like to have people recognize or come up to you after show and share how your music has somehow affected their life? Well,
of course, it's incredibly fulfilling, especially with the stuff I kind of do away from the band. I primarily perform with the Needs Hotel Band here in the Pittsburgh region, and we're well known, and the guys are so wonderful, and they're incredibly talented, and it's really a high energy kind of performance.
Yeah.
And believe me, we touch people in many different ways. They love our music. The stuff that I do away from the band is a lot more solemn and personal, if you will. So first off, when I'm performing this material, I try to capture one or two people. If I can connect, there's an audience of 100 people or 150 in a club or a listening room, and I connect with one or two, and I know there's a connection, boy, that's a big thrill. So I'm basically performing for that one person that is buying into the message and the delivery. So it truly is a special experience. I can't even imagine these guys, these great big artists that stand in front of 18,000 people and the audience is singing their words back to them. That's got to be quite a powerful human experience.
I would agree. Well, let me ask you this on that topic then, John. When you have that experience that you found the one or two persons in the audience, and there's a connection there, what what is that sort of sensation like? I mean, is the rest of the audience? I mean, obviously you see them and you're very much engaged with them, but what's it like to know you have that connection? That's the kind that you look for to have the type of performance or the type of experience that you want. What happens with the rest of the audience? How do you navigate? How do you balance that sort of element of what you do as a musician?
Well, first of all, that experience in itself is humbling. You know, to actually go to a venue and people have paid money to hear your music. You know, that in itself is a humbling experience. And we as performers have an obligation to do the very best we can do and pour our heart and soul into that performance for everybody that's there. I mean, don't get me wrong. Even if I lock in on one or two connections, the performance is for the whole room.
Yeah.
It's just that there's a different level of connection. There's folks that are listening and enjoying the music, and then there's another level altogether where someone is really, really, really in tune with the message. And of course, this music on Love, Lust, and Other Records, the lyrics were the foundation for everything. The lyrics, the stories, and the message. So it certainly gets your adrenaline going, and you know, it makes you feel a little younger and a little more energetic and humbled at the same time.
Yeah, I can appreciate that. That being just exactly what you would have happening. Well, with the personal element that has gone into this, the most recent record here, what is it about, your experience as a musician and the experiences of performing in shows and your relationships in life and all the sort of thing? What was it like? What sort of creative moment happened for you when you realized it was time to start your next record?
It happened accidentally, but I think the spark for the whole thing was my health issues and a visit after I had cancer surgery, and had my kidney removed, and I was recovering, and I received a visit from Vern Lobel, who's the primary co-writer on many of these songs on the album. And that was probably the spark. The conversation that he and I had that evening where he came to visit, and we were both in our mid-50s, both in similar places in our lives, both alone, if you will. We weren't in relationships, and looking at what we did right and what we did wrong, and, reflecting, if you will, on where our lives were. That was probably the thing that started it. And I wasn't in a very good place, and I wasn't in good health. So I got to give Bert some credit for kicking me in the ass. I mean, he's the one that said, "Hey, we've got to bring this stuff to life." And once he woke me up a little and I got rolling, then I took over from there, if you will.
My health and vitality just came rushing to the forefront, and I was feeling a lot better sooner, for sure. It sounds like.
Yeah, it did. It contributed to my recovery. The excitement of the music, going to the studio, working with Dave Granati, who I'd never worked with before, who's an incredible producer. And then later in the project, we brought in the fourth leg, or our not-so-secret weapon, Cheryl Ann Hawk, who's a wonderful female vocalist, songwriter in her own right, an established solo artist, and we took off from there.
Well, and it's exciting because, I mean, gosh, this is obviously a very big record for not only for your career, but just your life, culminating with all the way things started with the health issues, and that it's 2 years, and you're at this place where it is it's live and it's launching. What is it about the next couple months or the next half a year with this record that has you excited? What are some possible projects or events you have going on, or just an overall, what has you excited about getting this out to the public and performing it?
I love this question because I have a great big answer for you.
Oh, great.
The album has been turned into a stage play
Wow.
by playwright Amy Hartman, and it will be performed this coming September, if you will, September 13th and 14th of 2019. It will be performed here in Pittsburgh as a stage play at Historic Theater, the Oakmont Theater, which is right outside of Pittsburgh. That's the big goal and the big project we're working on. But between now and then, the performances of the music, continuing to get it out there with interviews like this and the kindness of people like you that support this message and independent artists, which is, I truly appreciate. So there's a lot of good stuff between now and then, but the prize is the stage play, which will occur in September, and it's based off of the story behind the material that's on the album.
Well, that's fascinating. I mean, I'm going to put that in my phone and check that out when it comes out, because that is that's so cool. I mean, to have, to get an album done, but to have it put into a playwright is the few artists, few musicians ever get a chance to experience that. So I'm so happy for you that you're getting that opportunity, and it sounds like the community and the town, the city is going to really love it. Let me ask you this: what is one thing you would like your new audience, the Superpower Creatives audience? What's one thing you would like them to know about your message or this album or your work? How would you maybe surmise that into a brief thought or a brief paragraph of words?
Well, I guess I would hope that I come across as sincere with humility, and that somehow the music that we've created, maybe it's meaningful to some folks, that they can connect or relate to the stories and the style of music on the album. And I guess the most important thing for me is to just be a humble person that's sincere and honest, and have a human connection, if you will, and appreciate other people and recognize and encourage their talents and the things that they do with their superpowers, I guess.
Absolutely. Well,
sorry, I stumbled there a little bit.
well, no, it's quite all right. Well, listen, like when I tell people about the show, that's it's Superpower Creatives, like they stop at superpowers, they're like, it's like, you mean like flying and stuff? I was like, no. It always catches some. So I get that all the time. But I mean, I remember when I first saw it too, and I mean, like, it's crazy that I'm even doing a show that actually has the name. But it's like we do have this inherent power within us, as we are sentient beings that have life. When we were given life from life, so there's something very super about that, the power of that creation, and it's kind of just taken the context of superpowers and really stretching it into how powerful we all really are. And I mean, it sounds like you're with this project and with the collaborators and with your story, you're finding that you're not only finding the essence of your story and putting that into an album and putting that into a playwright, but it sounds like it's stretching into capturing the essence of those around you with your superpower of, being able to procure collaboration where, people have the same sort of ambition and interest of finding that creative goal. Even if it's an undefined one, they want to do it with you. And that to me says a lot, that creative wise, and regardless of it's your project and they know that, but it sounds like they're really just cool with that. They enjoy creating with you, and that must be a very rewarding thing to know people will sign on to want to do something so big with you that obviously requires a lot of commitment and a lot of energy on all kinds of levels. Yeah,
thank you. You've summarized it better than I could. That it is great to have such talented people that buy into this vision and want to contribute and do contribute. So thank you.
Yeah, well, you're very welcome, very welcome. And we want to just thank you too, John, for for sharing a little bit about what's going on, what's happening with this album, this playwright that we weren't even aware of. So, I mean, I know that it's going to be something that's super exciting for people to check out. And it's just been a real honor to, be with you today, sort of co-creating in this space. And but before we close things out, let's remind listeners where they can go to find out more about you.
Sure. Thank you. JohnVento.com, VENTO, and John Vento Music on Facebook, and John Vento Music on Instagram and Twitter too. So, all those social media outlets.
All and growing every day. So many of them. But folks, do check John out, because his work is truly original, and it's the kind of stuff that gets to your heart and takes you to your soul, and that's the kind of things that takes you into the unknown, which I feel is where we all are most interested and find ourselves in that creative ether. So I want to congratulate you for your music, John, your creative convictions. Yes, remaining someone who decides who he will be as a musician, and not the other way around, with your musical gifts and your message, and, just helping other people's lives to be inspired and know that they are, also the ones running their own show in their lives. And it stays that way unless they choose otherwise. So we value that so much, and we value you. And, I want to just thank the listeners as well. And until next time, be bold, stay true, and unveil your creative superpowers.
Are you ready to discover your superpowers? Go now to superpowerexperts.com and take the superpower quiz today.
I get up and I show